This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore. I would like everyone to please welcome to the program the workaholic, genius, sometimes hilarious, sometimes they really just, especially when you're trying to take a crack at me, they fail all the time. Cliff Schecter, thank you for coming back once again in light of all of the news that has gone on since the last time you were here. I'm sure you've been as busy as me.
I have been, but has stuff happened? I don't know.
Yeah. How many indictments is it now? I mean, last time we had the question, and I was like, no, I'm only talking about federal. Now we have another state one. And I talked yesterday about how a fifth indictment is very likely soon to drop after an investigation is completed in Arizona.
That too.
It's just,
I'm wondering why not Pennsylvania and, there's a few other
Michigan.
states they tried this.
Yeah.
Michigan, right? So
that might happen.
Let's just keep it going, man. People, at least in this country, will educate people about all the various states that we have in the country.
Here's kind of the problem as I see it. You could just tell me what you think. It's Donald Trump surrounds himself with abject dipshits who lack in skill and legal acuity, and then he hires them as both surrogates and attorneys.
Yes. It's not just that. I mean, you're exactly right. But lawyers, surrogates, whether they're public relations people, political people, financial people, he surrounds himself with literally the dumbest fucking people in the world.
Yes.
And he does this because he knows these are people that, they went to places you've never heard of for school and failed out, and they've tried a career in Republican politics or something else and failed. So he knows that he owns them. He hoists them up, and then they will beg him for the scraps of what he will give them.
I think he's especially drawn to people who don't have an ideological center or North Star, as it were. People like Roger Stone, for instance. Yes. I've been watching a lot of deposition footage of this twitchy freak. It is bizarre, but also people like Rudy Giuliani, or in this case, I want to talk about Jenna Ellis. It's been a long time getting here, but we finally got here. If you don't know out there in YouTube audience land who Jenna Ellis is, she is, to the best of my understanding, a failed traffic lawyer, DUI lawyer, and she got on with a prosecutor in some local municipality, got fired for incompetence, and then actually, here, I've got the
enormous Weld County, Colorado, which is known like LA County and Manhattan for producing your top lawyers.
Yeah, this is what they claim, they allege. There are federal laws and state statutes that regulate aspects of the process throughout each state. The employer that fired her noted some cases were being processed that did not adhere to the Victim Rights Act as it applies to the cases. So she tried to claim unemployment, but you have to have been fired for no cause to draw unemployment as a state employee.
Right.
They did give her the unemployment, but the reason is just it's chef's kiss. This is what they said. There were some deficiencies in her education and experience that account for the errors she committed while learning on the job under high volume conditions. So naturally,
she's
Donald Trump,
Tommy Lauren of lawyers, is what it seems to be.
Repeat that line, because I was all over you.
She's the Tommy Lauren of lawyers. What she is. A complete dipshit who doesn't know what side's up. It couldn't name you. You'd ask her 10 random questions, huge ones, like who assassinated Lincoln, about American history. She may get too correct. Like just the dumbest fucking people. So Jenna Ellis used to be, when it was in vogue still for Republicans to be attacking Trump, like Lindsey Graham said, he's going to be the death of our party, and if we nominate him, we'll deserve it. She has called Donald Trump without love, treacherous, abusive, unholy. She has said that Trump's values are not American. She has said that he is unethical, corrupt, lying, criminal, dirtbag.
Why should we rest our highest office in America on a man who fundamentally goes back and forth and really cannot be trusted to be consistent or accurate in anything? She has posted on Facebook, I could spend a full-time job just responding to the ridiculously illogical, inconsistent, and blatantly stupid arguments supporting Trump. But here's the thing, she wrote. His supporters don't care about facts or logic. They aren't seeking truth. Trump probably could shoot someone in the middle of New York City and not lose support. And this is the cumulative reason why this nation is in such terrible shape. We don't have truth seekers. We have narcissists.
And then she went and embraced every single thing
that
right. she said.
Yeah.
Every dirty, stupid, whatever, all the adjectives she used to describe them. She was like, yeah, I think I want to become one of those people. And she went and embraced it.
Speaking of embracing dirty things, there was that moment, I believe in Pennsylvania, during Rudy Giuliani's tour trying to convince America that the election was corrupted, and where he literally farted on her. Watch this as a reminder.
The answer, point of order. The answer that I gave you is they didn't bother to interview a single witness. Just like you, they don't want to know the truth. Well, you probably know the truth.
The side eye was beautiful from her.
Yeah, the side eye, exactly. So she teamed up with Rudy Giuliani in this effort to convince Americans that the election was rigged, that Donald Trump won, that Joe Biden did not win, even though it is overwhelming the win by Joe Biden.
And even though, okay, sorry, go ahead.
No, well, I'm trying to. The bio is just so magnificent. It's hard to stop. So she went on the tour. She's been censured in Colorado,
right,
relative to her bar, being a lawyer, and now she has been indicted. Nightmare. Everyone in MAGA world is.
I know. And my favorite new word, not new, but favorite word this week, RICO.
Yeah.
You know, the thing that's amazing is, you just pointed out, that's what I was going to say before, which is she went on this lying and farting tour with Rudy Giuliani, where all they did is go to various state legislative chambers, pass gas out of both their mouths and their ani.
Yeah.
I think that's the Latin way of saying it.
You're so fancy.
I know. 2 years at a Episcopalian school, we had to take Latin. What can I do? And so she went and embraced and did all this stuff. And then, as you point out, the Colorado at the legal bar in Colorado, she did admit before them that under oath that 10 times she had lied about the election on television and public, which goes against their ethics. So they censored her.
Right.
And so that already she's like 38 in her legal career. She doesn't have money put away like these guys who've been in law for years, like Eastman, probably some of them. She gets that. And then, of course, now she's indicted. Like, how stupid is this person, right? Like, I mean, she started off on the understanding who Trump was and then just freaking embraced the whole thing.
Well, it's once he got nominated and then won the presidency, she was on that gravy train.
Right.
It's interesting that you say that she's losing. She hasn't like squirreled away any money, because now she's in real legal peril, criminal legal peril, just like Rudy Giuliani is crying poor now.
Yep.
I got 2 tweets I want to show you and the audience. I assume you've seen these. One, she posts this on Twitter in like the wine mom font, you know, the classic, you walk into a Hobby Lobby and this is the font that's everywhere, all over the place. And she says, the image says, "Even so, it is well with my soul. Eat, pray, love," Jenna Ellis. And she wrote, right. The Democrats and the Fulton County DA are criminalizing the practice of law. I am resolved to trust in the Lord, and I will simply continue to honor, praise, and serve him. I deeply appreciate all of my friends who have reached out, offering encouragement and support. Now, that support has come in the way of, there's a Christian version of GoFundMe. It's called Give, Send, Go. It's all a little lowercase, so it's hard to delineate the words. But so Mark Levin.
They should have a MAGA version of it, which they should just call bail.
That's right. Yeah. Mutual aid right here.
Yeah.
So Mark Levin tweeted, promoting this Give, Send, Go account because she's so broke. Now she's begging for money because reportedly, because she's spoken highly of Ron DeSantis, Donald Trump has pledged not to pay for her legal bills, even though he has pledged to pay for many other co-conspirators who have entered into this criminal syndicate. And this is what Mark
Always
Levin
on
wrote.
The wrong bandwagon. Poor lady.
Here's what Mark Levin wrote. Our friend Jenna Ellis has been wrongly indicted in Georgia by the radical Democrat DA and doesn't have the funds needed to vigorously defend herself. Please join me in helping her and use this link to give what you can. This is a sickening abomination. And the grift
goes on, right?
Yeah.
Well, I've got two responses to that. First of all, as such an expert in the ways of Colorado traffic infractions, can't she defend herself in Georgia court? Because that's one. The second thing is exactly what you said, the grift. I looked it up because we had sent some articles to each other last night about this. Mark Levin on the conservative side, in the small c of that, makes $20 million a year, something like that. He makes, for his syndicated show, he's got a show on Fox. He goes to the gravy train, all the things with all the walking zombies like CPAC, who all show up and he gives autographs out. But he goes to all their stupid people who can't afford their electricity bills and stuff like that. Their, Eat, Pray, Love, or whatever that site is. The guy could write her one check if he really believed in anything he's saying. He could write her a $10 million check tomorrow. It would be like 1% probably of the man's. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but it wouldn't touch his lifestyle. Or a $5 million check like that. But no, he wants you, who makes $30,000 a year, to go and cover this.
I saw some tweet from somebody. I'll try to dig it up to put it in after when I'm editing in post. And some guy was like, "I pledge my fortune and sacred honor to help defend." Like he's using Revolutionary War language about that has been said about the founding fathers over and over. Like he's some noble patriot.
Give me liberty.
Who's going to stand up and donate to their legal defense fund? It's remarkable, but. Ultimately, I guess, and I would throw this to the audience and to you, Cliff, is
sure.
This is certainly emblematic of the caliber of person that Donald Trump wants to surround himself with. Mm-hmm. Do you think there is some truth to it that it's by choice, or is it just a natural inclination that shit rolls downhill and he's drawn in that direction? Is it strategy, or is it instinct, or some mix of the two?
I always hate to give him too much credit for strategy, because that would imply he actually thinks, beyond like, when's my next meal at KFC and when does Fox and Friends come on? You know what I mean? Like, but I think he is. He's an instinctive animal. It's like that instinctive charisma, I hate admitting it, but that appeals to fascist-like crowds. If he knows what to say instinctively to rile them up and make them hate the person next to them. I think it's the same thing here. He's a predator by nature. He's an absolute predator. And he instinctively knows who the people are around him, who he can own, who he can control. And it's not that hard. Again, I think I brought up, earlier, Corey Lewandowski, who had never managed one statewide campaign in New Hampshire and got fired. That's shocking.
Right.
Had no place in the Republican Party. So this was somebody he could bring in who he know would owe him everything.
Yeah.
Right?
Donald Trump also is keen on having people who are henchmen do his dirty work, with Michael Cohen and, the slew of sleazy operators that we've seen during his administration and since. It is just a natural inclination in his modus operandi.
I'm glad that Cohen has come over to the light side now. And that's great. But again, no disrespect to him, but it's a fact. He wasn't a Harvard Law School recruited lawyer. He's another one who Trump looked at, who went to the University of, like, I have 2 desks or something, and got his law degree. And so Trump was like, this is the guy I want, because he'll do anything for me.
That's exactly
so it's these low level, trashy, failed Republicans. I'm not saying there aren't exceptions, and the ones who aren't are the ones who make you sit there and say, what is wrong? Again, as pathetic and evil a character as Rudy Giuliani is, and for those of us who lived in New York and knew how unpopular he was before 9/11, when he became a hero because he chose to put the headquarters of the counterterrorism headquarters in the only place that had been bombed before in New York, because a donor of his owned property in the World Trade Center. People didn't know that. They just knew he was out in the street and looked like Churchill, and he got this whole new life out of it when he really was a corrupt dipshit. But he had this reputation, and he could have just run with that for the rest of his life.
People were willing to overlook the fact that he surrounded himself with corrupt dipshits.
Right, like Bernie Kerik.
Yeah.
Right. Now, he's like the guy that lay down in a bed for a 14-year-old or whatever in Borat. He's the guy who held a press conference at 4 Seasons Landscaping, and he's the guy who farted on Jenna Ellis and now is indicted.
And he's the guy who's being sued for sexual harassment and sexual abuse, telling his employee, "I want to own you, like with a document, and these tits are mine," and just horrible abusive shit. So
in one way, at least America's mayor and America's businessman, which is what they turned Donald Trump into with that stupid show, who are literally both New York tabloid creations of the back pages, in the 1980s, who neither of whom came close to the actual reputation, have both been now thoroughly exposed for the utter just dumb shits they are.
Yeah, and just flunkies, failures.
Yes,
and there's a mythos that surrounds them that's only been propped up by republicanism that is just it's made up out of whole cloth. So,
and at least they had a mythos. I mean, poor Jenna Ellis, she never even got a mythos. She went straight from like, I suck at parking tickets, to I'm being censured in Colorado, to I'm being farted on by Rudy, to I'm being indicted. That's pretty much her career summed up in about 5, 6, 7 years.
Hey, be nice. Listen, there were just some deficiencies in her education and experience that account for the errors that she made.
When she went on like an anti-LGBTQ rant, she did, and called Jason and Pete Buttigieg perverts when
sexual
they adopted.
Perverts is what she called them.
Then no, that's where, if there were ever going to be the slightest inkling of empathy from me, no, like I have zero. I hope she gets thrown in, like a prison, and they play the West Side Story music. She's got to fight out with a shank now and again.
Listen, her only hope now, Cliff Schecter, her only hope now is that they write her sentencing document in wine mom font. That's all she's got left.
And she'll be able to read it. Yes, that might work for her.
As always, as we end these segments, I would invite the audience to sound off 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email, as always, daily@dollemore.com. Cliff Schecter, tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me at C Schecter on YouTube, CSCHECTER, and you can find me at Cliff D Schecter on Threads, and you can find me at Cliff Schecter on Twitter, because I'm too dumb, as I'll say every time, to have them all be the same.
There will be links below in the description to that. We appreciate your time, Cliff, and your expertise, and the occasional funny one-liner.
I don't know. These are fun to do, so let's keep doing them as indictments keep happening.
Yes. All right. Be genuine, everybody. Take care of one another.